and welcome to the latest edition of the Health and Safety Matters podcast. My name is Mark Sennett. I'm the CEO of Western Business Media, which is the publisher of Health and Safety Matters. We're delighted, as always, to have this podcast sponsored by the Health and Safety event. And if you're not familiar with the Health and Safety event, well, it takes place in April, on the 8th to 10th of April 2025 at the NEC in Birmingham. It's completely free to attend. And if you register to attend, you get access to the Health and Safety event, the Fire Safety event, the security event and the workplace event. All you need to do is go to healthandsafetyevent.com to sign up for free. Now, you don't need to wait for this podcast to see all the latest news, prosecutions, products and services in the health and safety sector. You can, of course, go to our website, which, if you don't know it, is www.hsmsearch.com, or just throw into a search engine, Health and Safety Matters, up we come. On there, you can sign up to get our twice-a-week e-newsletter. You can sign up to get digital or print copies of the Health and Safety Matters magazine. You can see all of our upcoming webinars or view all of our past webinars on demand via the webinars tab. So plenty to do. You can follow us on social media, on X or on LinkedIn. So please do go to our website, throw in Health and Safety Matters into your search box, and up we come. But as always, we start with the news. And I've got a few news stories for you in this month's episode of the podcast. I'm going to start with a bit of research, a survey that's come out, and it's from Watco, which is the Industrial Paint and Repair Specialist. And they're showing a survey that highlights a gap in the Building Safety Act knowledge from facilities managers. So I thought this is worth sharing. So their research examined the complexities affecting facilities managers within the buildings, construction and refurbishment sector, and uncovered several challenges around legislation and maintenance. The survey found that just 34% of FMs know what the Building Safety Act is, and that's somewhat concerning, to be honest. And only 26% of them know how it impacts their role, while less than half of them, so 40% actually, said that they have a good working knowledge of what industry legislations and regulations impact them. I mean, that is truly terrifying that only 40% of people in FM roles in this survey say they know what legislation and regulations impact them in their workplace. So this research follows the introduction of updates to the Building Safety Act, which include the requirement of a golden thread of information to be developed for each building and kept up to date throughout its lifetime, from design and construction to refurbishment and maintenance. The golden thread must consist of accountable, reliable, consistent, secure and accessible information which facilities managers may be required to contribute to. The research also uncovered wider challenges affecting FMs. Aside from having to meet the changing standards and legislation, the factors they believe pose the largest risk to health and safety at their facilities included a lack of general maintenance and backlog of repairs, wet and slippery surfaces, faculty downtime, time constraints, waterproofing and damp. Further to this, just 28% of respondents said that they undertake a thorough site audit or risk assessment at least once a year, while only 24% are aware of potential hazards and know how to report or control risks. That also very worrying. So Scott Saunders, who's the technical service manager at Watco, commented on the findings. He said, "Health and safety has always been a core element of facilities managers' jobs. However, the introduction of more robust building safety legislation means compliance now presents itself a key issue. On top of ever-increasing workload, FMs must now have a good understanding of how to comply with the new legislation. Further to this, during the Labour government's first budget since coming to power, the Chancellor committed more than £5 billion of investment between 2025 and 2026 to deliver the government's ambitious plans for housing. This has been followed by an announcement by the Housing Minister, who stated existing schemes will receive £3 billion more in government support to help deliver 1.5 million homes." So, with many priorities to balance, seeking support and sourcing training and product information from suppliers or third parties can help lighten the load, as they can advise on how their products meet the standards and provide relevant certifications. Ultimately, everybody in the supply chain has responsibility for ensuring buildings are safe and the golden data thread is maintained. So if you want to read more about this story, just go on to hsmsearch.com. I've got a search box in there, and if you put into a search box there, survey highlights gaps in the Building Safety Act, you will see more about this story. So I want to move on to a story from our partners, the British Safety Industry Federation, and the BSAF is urging businesses to review their PPE stock. So going into this, if you want to go onto the website, just throw into a search engine on our site. BSIF urges businesses to review PPE stock. So the BSIF is urging buyers and wearers of PPE to review their PPE stock and replace old and damaged items after a member survey showed outdated and poorly maintained PPE is still in use across UK workplaces. The survey of BSIF members, made up of manufacturers and distributors of PPE, who frequently visit workplaces across the UK, highlighted the prevalence of substandard products in use in Britain's workplaces. The findings emphasise the urgent need for employers and workers to prioritise PPE evaluation and renewal as they prepare for the year ahead. The survey highlights a worrying trend in the state of the PPE and safety equipment across industries. So examples of what was found was high vis is not so visible, damaged helmets, ripped clothing, defunct respiratory protection. Other insights from the survey pointed out that the cost of over-compliance. Some respondents noted that buyers often prioritise costs over fit and performance. Misuse and poor fit was another thing that it highlighted. So these issues included workers wearing PPE incorrectly, such as helmets dangling loosely or gloves not being properly secured. So commenting on this was BSAF CEO Alan Murray. Alan, obviously a regular on this podcast in past episodes, and do listen to our back catalogue of archived podcast episodes to hear interviews with Alan. But Alan commented on this and said, it's not enough for PPE to simply meet basic standard. It must be maintained and fit for purpose at all times to ensure worker safety. As one of the survey respondents highlighted, the misconception that any PPE is good enough is a dangerous mindset that leads to preventable injuries. So the BSIF will actually release its latest findings around non-compliant PPE and safety equipment at the beginning of February. So I'm pretty confident I'll be covering that on the next episode of the podcast. The Federation will also be turning up the focus on its essential role of PPE in their PPE Saves Line campaign, which will launch this spring. For more information on how to improve PPE standards, do go to their website, bsif.co.uk. But, just a couple of comments on that. It's always worrying to see surveys like this throw up results where non-compliant PPE is in circulation, whether it's not being worn properly so it's not compliant, or whether it's damaged, as we talked about here, damaged helmets. So do please check your stock. Continually do that. Make sure that not only is PPE being suitably worn, but also that it isn't damaged and is suitable for use. Okay, moving on to our next story. We often cover mental health on this as well, because that's an increasing part of the role all of you health and safety managers have to consider. And we've got another research piece here. And new research shows 40% of freelancers saw their mental health decline in 2024 after an incredibly challenging year, and at least 6% felt supported by the government. This story is particularly of interest to me because, I have freelancers, be it journalists, work for me. So I was really interested to read this when Kelly, our editor, wrote it. So data from Leapers, which is a project exploring and supporting mental health of freelancer, showed almost half of freelancers felt their mental health got worse during the last year amid the rising cost of living. So 71% of freelancers had to face clients paying them late, 72% faced ghosting, and clients no longer replying to messages. And even halfway through a project or before they'd been paid work, they'd been ghosted, some said. Over 2/3 of freelancers don't feel like they know where to find adequate support for their mental health at work, and 6% feel like the government had their backs in 2024. Only 10% of freelancers said they didn't feel lonely or isolated. So, yeah, this is an interesting. You can see the full report on the Leapers website, as well as also www.freelancing.support. As we look through this, Matthew Knight, who's the founder of Leaper, commented on it. He said it's estimated there are over 2 million freelancers in the UK who deliver over 160 billion to the British economy, yet they don't have access to adequate support for mental health, which will undoubtedly have an impact on the already stretched NHS if their mental health continues to decline. It's an interesting one. I always try and keep in touch with my freelancers as much as we can do. I'm always concerned about home workers as well, because more and more we encourage home working now. It's become a lot more of the norm since the pandemic. But the worry with that is making sure that they don't feel out of the loop, making sure they do feel fully involved in the companies that they work for, fully supported. It's very much a concern of ours that if you have someone that lives alone, that they really we have to consider their mental health. It's something that you guys will be considering in your workplaces too. For us, we do regular team calls, we have team groups, we try and do team catch-ups when we can, we see at events, but we do have a specialist HR agency to help as well. We obviously got our HR person in the business. But the point here is saying that 45% of freelancers are feeling isolated is a worrying statistic. So if we relate that back to something perhaps more of us can understand in terms of home-based workers, that absolutely is a concern. And the key part there really is communication and keeping them feel involved, because for me that is the biggest concern I have with people working remotely is the feeling isolated, not valued, and obviously the mental health concerns of loneliness. So yeah, it was interesting statistics. I was selfishly interested in this one because it's something that directly affects us with freelancers, so I thought I would share that one that was on there. And final news story is about the State Health Excellence Awards. So as I record this, it is the 30th of January, and the deadline to enter is meant to be the 31st of January, tomorrow. But as always, we do extend it by 2 weeks because people never quite get their entries in on time, and I get bombarded about this time. They say, oh, please, can you extend the deadline? And so, yes, we are absolutely going to extend the deadline until the 14th of February to Valentine's Day. What a treat. Wait until Valentine's Day to enter the State and Health Excellence Awards. I would strongly urge you to enter the Safety and Health Excellence Awards. It is the perfect way to get yourself, a colleague, your team, your organisation, a project, a campaign recognised for the unbelievably important jobs that you all do in keeping people and property safe. It's completely free to enter. I practice what I preach here. I enter our team and our publications all the time into awards, and it means a lot to the staff when we've got shortlists. It means a lot to me and my business partners and to the company. But this isn't a long process. It's 4 questions with a maximum of 250 words in each question, and it really is a great way to highlight the important work that you or your organisation or your colleagues do. The categories include Health and Safety Manager of the Year, Health and Safety Team of the Year, Unsung Hero Award, Health and Safety Project, the Safe Logistics Awards, Best Health and Safety Manufacturing, Rising Star, Campaign, Woman of the Year, Marketing Campaign, Distributor of the Year, Best Use of Health and Safety Data to Lower Incident Rates, Best Driver Risk Management Performance, Sustainable Company of the Year, and the Inclusivity Award. It is completely free to enter. You've now got until the Valentine's Day on the 14th of February 2025 to enter. You just have to go to she-awards.com. If you can't remember that, just enter a search engine, the Safety and Health Excellence Awards. The enter button's on the home page. You can put the entries in your basket and edit them, finish them all the way up until the deadline. So you can put it in the basket today, and as long as you've completed and submitted the entry by 1 minute to midnight on Valentine's Day, then you will get into consideration for being shortlisted. It's not me that shortlists, it's our independent judges, and it's a brilliant event. This year we decided to have Jason Manford host the awards. We have magic acts there, we have pick and mix, we have photo booth with props, we have fun money casino tables, we have obviously a comedy set from Jason Manford. The food is brilliant at the Vox because the event takes place on the 9th of April 2025. The awards do itself at the Vox at the NEC in Birmingham, which is the middle night, obviously, of the health and safety event there at the NEC. And it's a black tie dinner that always sells out with 750 people there. It's great networking, but just getting shortlisted is the achievement here. It's something that you can share and be proud of, and it's completely free to do that. And then obviously we hope you'll join us and buy tickets to come to the awards on the 9th of April for the awards ceremony itself. So please do enter. It's she-awards.com, or yes, as in a search engine, Safe and Health Excellence Awards, and up we come. And you've got until 1 minute to midnight on Valentine's Day, the 14th of February, to enter. So please do. So that is unfortunately all we've got time for on this episode of the Health and Safety Matters podcast. As I said before, you don't have to wait for this podcast to come out to see all the latest health and safety news, prosecutions, products and services. You can go straight to our website, hsmsearch.com, or throw into a search engine Health and Safety Matters. Up we pop. And there you can go on the webinars tab, watch all of our past webinars on demand, or all of our future webinars, you can sign up for there. You can sign up to receive our e-newsletter. You can also sign up to get copies of the magazine. You can read the latest edition of the BSAF Annual Guide to UK Health and Safety there as well. So well worth a visit. Just go to hsmsearch.com. You can also follow us on LinkedIn or X under Health and Safety Matters. And please do share any thoughts, feedback, anything on this podcast you want on social media using the hashtag HSM Podcast. Please do leave us feedback and ratings on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. And thank you for joining us. And I look forward to seeing you next time on the Health and Safety Matters Podcast.